Welcome Year 7 to Materials Technology. Unfortunately, we're not on site where we can actually get in and use the tools and actually do some work. So we're going to do our best to do something productive during this remote learning time. Now, even if we were at school, we would still start with safety because it is very, very important in this type of environment. So that's what we're going to start with today. Here I am on the Materials Technology class page, so you should be able to find that on your Schoolbox site. And we're going to start by going into the 01 Safety in Classroom icon. So it's the second one in the top here, and that's where we're going to be focusing today's lesson. Just before we go in there though, if you haven't put your read comment into the log, please make sure you do that. I will always be looking here as far as your attendance while in remote learning. And if you don't add your read comment in here, then you will get marked absent and your parents, and you will receive an email from me to say that you didn't attend the class. Even if you do some work or type a comment somewhere else, if you don't do it properly in the correct place, it will still get marked as absent. So please get it right. So here we go into safety. You have two tasks that I'd like you to do today. And when I say today, really you have until the start of next week's lesson to complete these. So do use as much of this double lesson as you can. And really, I think most of you could finish this before the end of the double lesson. But if you don't finish it, it's automatically homework and something that needs to be completed before next week's class. So if we have a look here, there are some pictures of some unsafe procedures or unsafe practices in a workplace, and that's what I'd like you to focus on today. The two tasks that you need to do are found over here in the Files section on the right-hand side. There are two files that you need to download. The first one is identifying tools, and the second one is identifying unsafe work practices. Now, as you can tell by the icon here, both of these are Word documents. So if you click on them, your computer will download them. I'll do both, and I can see them coming up in my download bar at the bottom. And when they're done, I can open each of those files. We'll start with tool identification. Now it is a Microsoft Word document, so you'll open it in Microsoft Word. If you choose to use Pages instead of Word, that's technically okay, but you will have to convert it to a Microsoft Word format before you upload it to Schoolbox. So to make things easier for yourself, I strongly encourage you just to leave it as a Microsoft Word document. Here we have a picture of a lot of the different tools that you'll be using when you return to school. Basically, this one, you just need to look at these pictures and identify what the tools are. If you're not sure of them, you can certainly ask family members, or you can use things like Google to look for similar pictures and do your best to name them. If you're really unsure, of course, you can leave one, and we will talk about it when we do return to school. To name it, you simply click into the box next to it and you'll type the name in for the tool that you have found. So I'm going to give you a little hint here. This first one is called a bench hook. So when I put that in, I will just name it like I have there. Go ahead and name each of those as best you can and save it and then submit it at the end. And I'll be showing you again how to submit just in case. The other thing I should have mentioned is I would like you to put your name and your home base up here. So I'll put Mr. Tomic, for example, and I'll pretend my home base is 7.0 because that's the class I teach a lot of. So please make sure your work is always named properly. So I'm going to save that work and make sure it's ready to go. So I'm going to close that one, or at least leave that one. I'm going to come back to where I was before. And now I'm opening the safety, identifying safety one. So here I have another Word document. And in this case, I've got this little cartoon up the top with a whole lot of people being extremely unsafe in the workplace. And as the instructions here say, it wants you to use the drawing tools to circle and number as many safety issues as you can. I've given you a sample, so here we go. I have circled and numbered this one here with a big red circle and the number 1. Okay, and I do suggest that you can use this one and just renumber it. I'll show you that in just a moment. More importantly though, on the next page, there is a table that's begun and you need to list what you have found that is incorrect or unsafe, and then you need to explain how you might solve that or do it better. So what I might do here is just zoom in a little bit. So I'll change my view and zoom in a bit. We'll go to the page width. So now I can see that a bit more clearly. So if I look at this part that I've covered with the 1, this is a person who is not wearing their safety visor while they're doing some welding. Okay, so down in the table down here, I've put the number 1 so it matches the number above. I've written down what the issue is, so not wearing their visor when welding, and I've written down what I think would be a good fix. So I would ensure there is a safety reminder and make sure that the staff wear their visor. So to the best of your ability, explain what you might do to fix this issue. Now, it's not just wear the visor. That's not really an answer. We want to think about how you would change this ongoing. So let's say I want to look for the second thing. So here I have a person over here, just a little bit to the left, who's trying to carry what looks like a big heavy box all by themselves. Okay, and that's obviously not a good way to carry things. So I need to now label this as the second one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this box that's already there. I'm going to simply copy and paste it using either right click or Command C, Command V, or Control C, Control V, depending if you're Mac or Windows, or I can go to the menu, whichever way you like to copy and paste basically. I'm just going to move it over here. Then I'm going to double click inside of it over the 1 and simply change that to a 2. So I'm saving myself a lot of hassle by just copying the existing circle and changing the number. So this is now number 2. I'm going to come back down to my table, put the number 2 in, and then I'm going to put down what the problem is. So I said he's trying to carry a box by himself. Type that in. All right, and then over here, I'm going to write down how to fix it. So in this case, at least 2 people to carry this box, or maybe there's more than one way, or use a machine. So maybe he should be using a forklift or some other piece of machinery or a trolley or something like that to help him. So I've explained what the problem is in the first column there and then what I think could be a good fix. And I come back up and I find the third thing and the fourth thing and so on. Now there's no minimum and there's no maximum to how many problems you might find here. Your table could very easily go onto a third page of this document if you'd like to. There's not a prize necessarily, but I would be interested to see how many mistakes or issues you can find. I can give you a hint, it's well over double digits. So if you really look carefully, you'll find quite a few of these. So again, do this work and save regularly so that you don't lose it. There's not a place for your name on here, but maybe just put it in here. So maybe I'll just put it next to here, Mr. Tomic, and again, I'll put 7O, pretend it goes there, just so there is your name on the work somewhere. And that is the 2 tasks that you need to do for this week. They're pretty straightforward, they're not difficult, but I'd like you to really put a good effort in, especially with finding as many problems in this picture as you can. Okay, let's go back to our class page for a moment, and we need to do one last thing, which is to submit our work. Let's just go to it from our subject links on the side there. That might be a bit better. This is the one I want. Here we can see it is our class page 7B. That's the important one. And what I can see, if I look over here in the course outline for the Safety in Classrooms task, there are 2 things that need to be handed in. Now, if you haven't done a lot of handing in on Schoolbox, this is going to be important. Again, it's important that you don't make mistakes with this, otherwise I'll assume you haven't done your work. So I'm going to go back a little bit of a step and just kind of close this for a second, because sometimes you'll see it looking like this. And it's important that when you see this downwards facing arrow, that you actually click on that arrow and not on the title. If you click on the title, it's not going to necessarily help you. You want to click on the arrow to expand it out to see the individual tasks. When you see the individual tasks like this, you then click on the heading of that task to go into it. So the first one is actually the worksheet, the workshop sheet, the errors that we saw. So I'm going to click on that one, and it's now asking me to make my submission. So I'm going to click on Create Submission. I'm then going to find the file that I want to submit. So I'm going to either drag it onto here or I'm going to click on it and click on that to actually find one. So my one will be my downloads at the moment because I didn't move it. And there it is, the safety picture worksheet. Press open. So it is here, it's ready. And now I press upload. So it's very important you don't just go, oh yeah, I've done it, and close it. You still have to upload. And then there's a little bit more. Don't get this wrong. I have to go next. Okay. And then I have made my submission. All right. It's very important that you see your submission showing up here at the bottom. Okay. If you don't see something here, then it hasn't been completed. All right. So now I need to go back to submit the next one. I need to probably just go back through materials technology on the left here again. I think that's the quickest way in most cases. This list is already expanded, so I can simply click on identifying tools. I don't have to expand again, and I'm going to create another submission. So again, this time I'm going to choose a new file again. I'm going to find my other file that I had. So here's my tool identification file that I've saved, and choose to open that, remembering to press upload. Okay, and remembering to press next. And here is my submission again. So I have now submitted for both of these pieces of work. Okay, once you see that submission, you can be fairly confident that you've done the right thing. Okay, and that is the work that you need to do for this week's materials technology class. 2 documents, one about identifying tools and one about different safety aspects in the workplace. Complete both worksheets and then submit them here on the Schoolbox page, making sure that they are both submitted by the time next week's class starts. As of next week, we're going to start doing some design work, getting ready for when we actually return to school and are able to start building something. Hopefully this has made sense for you. If you need to rewatch it, of course, you should do that. And I do look forward to working with you back at school when the time comes.